Hello and welcome to this edition of FYI Weekly, your official source for the latest news and information from the city of Greensboro. Mayor Nancy Vaughn declared a curfew for the city of Greensboro on Monday, June 1st. The curfew hours are from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. and will remain in effect until it is modified or rescinded by the mayor. Mayor Vaughn said, as a result of the escalating violence that occurred in Greensboro, I have declared a curfew for the city beginning at 8 p.m. I am concerned more about the possible loss of life and injuries for our residents. The curfew is necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of our community. Exemptions from the curfew are as follows: law enforcement officers, firefighters, and other public safety employees, doctors, nurses, employees of hospitals or other medical facilities, public utilities, public transportation companies, on-duty military personnel, news media and print journalists, individuals traveling between work and their home, and individuals seeking medical care. As part of the governor's phased reopening, the Greensboro Parks and Recreation Facility hours have changed. Operating hours for regional parks such as Barber, Country, Hester, and Keeley, as well as the Gardens, have resumed regular seasonal hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. City lakes have resumed regular operations of 6 days per week. Please note Lake Higgins is closed on Mondays, Lake Brant is closed on Tuesdays, and Lake Townsend is closed on Wednesdays. Operating hours are currently from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Beginning on Monday, June 15th, regular seasonal hours will resume from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Monday through Saturday and 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Sundays. Skate parks are open and city cemeteries have resumed regular hours of operation from 8 a.m. to sunset. For more information about Parks facility and program changes related to COVID-19, refer to the Parks and Recreation Phase 2 reopening plan available on the city's website. The city of Greensboro is accepting applications for City Academy now through July 15th. This free civic education program is celebrating its 17th year. It's designed to develop civic leadership and build a stronger city through well-informed and engaged residents. City Academy participants get a behind-the-scenes view into city government through hands-on activities as they visit various city locations. Classes are held weekly from 5:45 p.m. to 9 p.m. from September through November. A graduation ceremony is scheduled for December 1st during the City Council meeting. The program also offers 2 optional elective sessions with the Greensboro Police, providing hands-on instruction with firearms training, crime scene investigation, K-9 unit, and much more. City Academy is open to anyone who lives within the corporate limits of the city of Greensboro. 30 residents representing all city council districts and various backgrounds will be selected. The city of Greensboro is committed to diversity and inclusion, and City Academy strives to create an environment reflective of the diversity within our community. To apply for the fall 2020 class, call the Community Relations Office at 336-373-2723. In an effort to help each of us improve our quality of life, the city has partnered with Cone Health for a series of brief and informative videos designed to inspire you to make better choices when it comes to healthy living. Let's check in with our friends at Cone Health for today's News for Your Health.
1 in 4 Americans suffer from allergies. Don't let the things that contribute to your symptoms stop you from enjoying your activities. I am Dr. Rosalind Hicks, an allergist from Allergy and Asthma Center of North Carolina, a member of Cone Health Medical Group. Let's get started and talk about allergies. Allergies are the common cold. Very similar entities. They both consist of a lot of congestion, runny nose, sneezing. Typically with the common cold, you're going to have, starting out, a little more scratchy throat, sore throat, and you often a little bit of fever. Both can have cough because of the postnasal drip. And you're going to feel a little lousy with the common cold, will run down, dehydrated, those kind of things. And then with allergies, it can be any time of year. Cold may be more common in the winter season, and allergies can be with exposure. You just mow the lawn, did you just take care of the cat or dog, did you just clean out the attic with lots of dust. So those are the things we think about to differentiate between a common cold and allergies. The common triggers kind of fall into two categories: indoor, outdoor, seasonal, or year-round. So in the spring, we think a lot about tree pollen, followed by grass pollen and weed pollen, and then we have dust, mite, cockroach, mold, which can be indoors and out, and then any kind of furried animal, dog, cat, gerbil, any of those. So clearly, if we're sensitive to the animals, then we shouldn't have animals, we shouldn't be exposed to them, but we can't really control completely pollen exposure. So if you go outside, if you're doing something involving that exposure, then wearing a mask if you have to mow the grass, wiping off your hands and feet, taking off your shoes before you walk through the house so you don't track the pollen through, minimizing the window being down as you ride down the road, and wiping off the cats and dogs when they come in from their walk so the pollen is not throughout the house and on the furniture, those kind of things. Well, of course, avoidance would be the biggest action that we could participate in to try to minimize symptoms, but side of that, adding medications to minimize the congestion, sneezing, runny nose. I'm a huge proponent of saline rinse, and so that's something easy that's not medicated. It's just salt water flushing out and clearing out the nasal passages so we can take away those allergens that we've been breathing in. I think it is very important to prepare for allergy season so that you can minimize your suffering and you don't have so much congestion and headache or disrupted activity. I like to encourage people to start their medications around Valentine's Day, and usually that'll minimize their symptoms and they can go into the allergy season ahead and symptom-free. It is important for individuals to think about allergy testing if they're having lots of symptoms, uncontrolled symptoms, they've tried multiple medications, or they feel like there's one specific thing that they're really interested in knowing that they're allergic to. And especially if you have upper and lower airway symptoms, if you're coughing and wheezing, then that has become quite the standard for management to consider allergy injections. And we need to know exactly what you're allergic to be able to put in your specific vial so that we can manage you with the injections if we have the positive testing available there. And in the situation where you may be food allergic, having allergy testing can be very informative to know what to avoid. Thank you for joining us. I hope all this information has been helpful to decrease your suffering from allergies. For more information, go to conehealth.com/wellness. I'm Dr. Rosalind Hicks.
The city is slowly but safely reopening its facilities to the public. Visitors will notice the safeguards put in place to reduce the spread of COVID-19. We'll have that story and more news coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. The city of Greensboro has resumed regular residential yard waste collection. Yard waste should be limited to a total of 10 bags, bundles, or cans. Residents are reminded to keep bundles and limbs to 5 feet or less, and cans and bags should weigh less than 50 pounds. Yard waste fees have been reinstated at the White Street landfill. Cars are charged $10 per trip, while vans, passenger vans, pickup trucks, and non-dumping trailers are charged $12 per trip. The landfill has resumed regular operating hours of Monday to Friday from 7:50 a.m. to 4:50 p.m. and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Residents should continue to make an appointment for collection of bulk items such as furniture, mattresses, and appliances. To schedule an appointment, call the contact center at 336-373-2489. The public is now allowed to enter some city facilities from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. City Hall visitors will notice enhanced safety measures in customer service areas such as plexiglass, physical distancing signage, and additional hand sanitizer stations. The Greensboro Public Library is accepting book returns at all locations Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Fridays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Fines have been waived for the period of March 12th through June 29th. Beginning June 10th, libraries will offer curbside pickup for holds. Customers can place up to 10 items on hold for pickup, but there will be no entry to library buildings. On June 29th, a grab-and-go service will start, allowing customers to enter the library, grab materials, check out, and exit. There will be no seating or public computer use during this period. Also, there will be no in-house programs and meeting rooms will remain closed. Concern for the community and employees is the city's top priority. The city will monitor and make changes to this reopening schedule if needed, based on local, state, and national trends or additional orders from the governor. Residents are encouraged to continue using remote methods of handling city business, such as by phone, email, and postal mail. Visit the city's COVID-19 webpage for the latest news, cancellations, and service changes. In an effort to help reduce the spread of COVID-19, the city of Greensboro is helping residents connect with face mask makers and suppliers. The goal is to get everyone covered. If you make, sell, or distribute masks or face coverings designed to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, please visit the city's website to fill out the form. Include your information to allow those in need of face coverings to contact you directly. Only masks eligible to be distributed are those made according to CDC guidelines. If you run out of materials, please email Lana Skripnik to request to have your listing removed until you replenish your inventory. Once the inventory has been restocked, please resubmit the form. The reactions to the senseless killing of George Floyd has sparked protests from thousands of people across the country as well as in our community. Coming up after the break, we'll talk to Greensboro Police Chief Brian James about GPD policies and procedures. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. The images of protesters in multiple cities marching and at times clashing with police is a result of the justice being sought for a Minneapolis resident whose life was cut short by police. Joining me now to talk about the civil unrest and local protest activity is Greensboro Police Chief Brian James. Chief, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. I know this is a difficult time not only for our nation but also for our community. We live in this perilous, unknowing situation in terms of what people's response has been to what happened in Minneapolis. So we went from coronavirus being one pandemic issue and now this case with George Floyd. You publicly condemned the actions of those former Minneapolis police officers. Could you just kind of explain what is GPD's training or policies as it relates to people who are in custody?
Well, first of all, looking at that particular incident with George Floyd, I've never seen anything like that in policing actually taught in a training setting. With the Greensboro Police Department, we do not teach any technique like that. Any type of maneuver that would cut a person's air supply off would certainly, what we would call, would be a deadly force maneuver. And the only time you could use something like that is if you are actually up against the threat of deadly force or another person is. So that would be totally inappropriate. We do extensive training in the academy on deadly force as far as and use of force in general. And then we also have updated training through in-service yearly about use of force and when it's appropriate. So we make sure that we're teaching the right things in the academy, and then also as far as a use of force, if it occurs in the department, we have a very rigid review system where the supervisor all the way up to a deputy chief reviews every use of force to ensure that it was done within policy.
Well, that's reassuring because I'm thinking people are kind of lumping police into this one bucket based on what they saw happen in Minneapolis. So our officers are essentially, what you're saying, told multiple times, and they're reminded throughout the year about deadly force.
Correct, and that's very important because I think that as a police officer, the biggest powers you have are the ability to take away someone's freedom through arrest or use deadly force when appropriate. But it has to be appropriate, and you have to be certain that you are actually up against the threat of deadly force or serious bodily injury, or someone else is. And that's the only time that deadly force is appropriate.
Now, GPD does work closely with the Greensboro Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, and you have a professional standards division within the department. What are the benefits of having those safeguards in place, and how does this assure the community that our officers are operating above board?
Well, the Professional Standards Division, they take all complaints from citizens as well as review all uses of force. What's important about that is that we have a dedicated team at the rank of sergeant and above that review all these cases. In the case that, say, someone files a complaint and they're not satisfied with the results of the complaint, that complaint can actually be appealed to the Greensboro Criminal Justice Advisory Commission, which contains what we call the PCRB, or the Police Community Review Board, and then they can actually provide an additional level of review of that complaint, so that if they don't agree with it, the PCRB takes a look at it, and then they make a recommendation to the chief as to what should happen with that complaint.
Okay, so it's a checks and balance.
Yes.
Now, we did have a lot of unrest as a result of what happened to George Floyd. Can you paint a picture of what happened in downtown Greensboro?
Well, first of all, I want to say that it started out very peaceful. Fortunately, we have relationships with a number of activists and organizers in Greensboro that we were in communication with, that wanted to express their feelings the right way by doing it peacefully. On 2 nights, the first 2 nights of the demonstrations and the protests, we did have some individuals that participated in property damage and some theft and some things like that. Those people were not part of that peaceful protest, and quite frankly, I don't think they were there for the right reasons, but we do appreciate the people who decided to come downtown and other parts of the city and protest peacefully. And we certainly support that. It's a First Amendment right, and we will support that no matter what your cause is.
Okay. And what are other ways that GPD is working to reduce some of that violent activity that had nothing to do with the peaceful protesters?
Well, what we've done is we've actually increased some of our manpower so that we can deploy to other parts of the city, because what we saw was that actually throughout the city, not just the areas of the protest, we did see some property destruction and some theft. So by increasing the number of officers that we have working, we've been able to deploy them to certain parts of the city which we think are vulnerable to those additional activities. But again, I don't want to confuse the legitimate protest, the peaceful protest, with the folks that did not come here for that purpose.
Okay, good to know. And initially when you took office, you started community meetings to really get a pulse of the community, hear from people face to face, but COVID-19 caused you to change that into like a virtual session. What do you think is needed to help us move forward as a community after seeing what we have watched unfold in Minneapolis?
Well, I think it's going to be one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time. When I started the community meetings, I would say even from a Greensboro standpoint and from a national standpoint, things were relatively calm. And what I always tell people is that it's very difficult to build a relationship in the middle of a crisis. Unfortunately, now we are in a crisis as a nation, but we are still going to try to build those relationships. So my intent, my department's intent, is when it's safe to get back out in the community and have those conversations about what's going on. If we have to go to a virtual format, we're certainly open to that. But I like face-to-face contact, and I understand what we're under now, but we will get out and make those contacts and have those tough conversations.
Well, Chief, thank you for making time to stop by and tell our viewers about GPD's commitment to safety for all. Certainly appreciate our officers, your leadership. Policing is never easy, so we do hope that you will come back and give us updates on how things are changing or what things are being put in place and how the community can help GPD to keep our community safe and not fall into some of these areas that we've seen from other cities across the country.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Stay tuned for some useful information about Greensboro as we tell you something about the city. That's coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. One way to stay informed about decisions that impact our city is by attending or tuning in to City Council meetings at 5:30 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of the month. The fourth Tuesday is reserved for a meeting as needed. Due to COVID-19, the City Council is meeting virtually. The Greensboro City Council meetings are broadcast right here on GTN. The meetings are also streamed live on the city's website and on Roku. City Council meetings usually take place on Level 2 of the Melvin Municipal Office Building, located at 300 West Washington Street. To review the council meeting schedule and agendas, please visit the city's website. In other public meeting news, the City of Greensboro's Criminal Justice Advisory Commission, known as GCJAC, is hosting a virtual town hall meeting at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, June 18th. The meeting will focus on a solution-based dialogue about policing and law enforcement in Greensboro. The public is encouraged to participate. Interested parties can send an email to GCJAC to request the Zoom invite. For more information, call Letitia McNeil, the Commission's Criminal Justice Administrator, at 336-373-2295. Here's an opportunity to learn a little something about the city. As a safety measure against COVID-19, Greensboro Summer Online will be brought to you by Greensboro Parks and Recreation, the Department of Libraries and Museum, and Creative Greensboro, along with community partners. This is a virtual space where residents can access a wide range of innovative online events and activities. The first series of programs is available now, and more programs will be added throughout the summer. Online programs include story times, book clubs, summer reading, library children's programs, poetry meetups, parks and recreation youth programs, fishing contests, virtual theater productions, online book order with curbside pickup, and Start Smart athletic programs. After a thorough review of CDC and North Carolina recommended protocols and procedures, the city determined it cannot currently mitigate risks to effectively and safely manage traditional in-person programs and events. Traditional summer programs will be canceled or transitioned to online. Canceled programs include summer camp, in-person library events, swim lessons, summer night lights, and energy at the park. Residents who have paid for programs will be contacted about refund options. Coming up after the break, we'll showcase our department spotlight, but first we have a special message from Mayor Nancy Vaughn regarding the coronavirus.
Hello, I'm Mayor Nancy Vaughn.
And I'm City Manager David Parrish. And we will continue to monitor the spread of COVID-19 and coordinate with the state and county officials. And the recommendation is to wear the face cover in public settings where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain.
Be sure to wear the face cover correctly. Securely cover your entire nose and mouth. You can remove your face cover when you are not in a public place, including your car.
Remember to practice social distancing even while wearing a face cover. Homemade face covers can be washed. Inspect it often and replace it if it's torn or degraded.
As a community, we've been tested before and we've always come through stronger. We will get through this together.
And when communicating, please rely on facts, not fear. Thank you.
Welcome back. The City of Greensboro has more than 20 departments and several divisions committed to serving you, our residents and visitors. Let's go behind the scenes in our department spotlight. Visitors of the Lake Daniel Greenway have probably noticed the bridge has been removed at the intersection of Elam and Benjamin Parkway. Due to heavy rainfall over the past 6 months, damages from flooding and storm water created unsafe conditions, which resulted in the need to remove the bridge for safety concerns. The city is assessing the options for moving forward. Please refer to the map for detour information and stay tuned for updates. Straight ahead on the other side of the break is this week's Way to Go GSO shout out. Stay with us. As we draw to a close, we always want to end on a positive note with our Way to Go GSO shout out. This week's shout out goes to the NCAA. The athletic organization donated nearly 300 cases of Powerade and Dasani bottled water to Guilford County schools. The donation amounts to more than 7,000 bottles. The drinks were originally earmarked for the Greensboro Aquatic Center for the 2020 Division III NCAA Swimming and Diving National Championships, which were canceled due to COVID-19. Instead of returning the beverages, the NCAA made the donation to help support the community after losing the opportunity to host the championships in March. The school district will use this donation to supplement its grab-and-go and satellite meal programs. As more places continue to open, please remember to wear your face covering, wash your hands often, and wait 6 feet apart. That concludes this edition of FYI Weekly, but you can easily stay connected to the latest city news by linking to us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Alexa users can subscribe to our 5-minute flash briefings. Be sure to download our weekly podcast, Talk City Greensboro, and now GTN is streaming on Roku. For all of us here at the City of Greensboro, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.